What's up, good people, and welcome back to the channel today for another interview as we are very much still neck deep in BMF season 2 content. And as I promise you all, each and every week, we're going to try to have another guest to talk about this week's episode. And today, I've been excited for this one. You may have seen our interview from the red carpet at the season 2 premiere, but now we get to talk extensively. We get to know more about Denise, who is played by the lovely Lauren Halperin. Lauren, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Let's start about let's go back to the season 2 red carpet premiere. First of all, you look
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic walking
Oh,
down. I was like,
thank you.
okay, killing it, shutting it down. But
Thank
let's
you.
let's talk about the whole experience of the red carpet. How was it
Yeah.
for you? And if you want to, give nods to your either your designer, if you had a designer or anybody that helped you do that through that very semi-chaotic day, shall I say.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
talk me
yeah.
through the experience.
It was great. I'd spent 10 years in LA and back and forth now. So going back for the premiere felt really beautiful and full circle, and being at such an iconic place at the Chinese Theater. That was amazing. So it was really fun. I put together, I wanted to put something together that had like a little pop, a little something fun. And I did. I felt like I felt great. It was so fun seeing the cast again because you got to remember the way you see me on the show. I looked very different than myself. So actually, when I went to the wrap party, I think a lot of the people that I had worked with didn't know it was me, because I didn't have Denise's wig and her whole look. So it just felt kind of fun to see everybody, have a little reunion, feeling like myself, showing up as Lauren, not Denise. So it was really fun. I loved it.
I'm glad you said it because I'm familiar with your work, and when I seen you, I was like, oh, Lauren's here, and I was like, "Hey, wait, is she on the?" I was like, oh shit, she is. I was like, oh my goodness, like the transformation here is
It's
just.
fun. And I gotta give so much of that up to, the amount of, um, specificity that wardrobe had, and Mo, he's incredible. He made Denise's wig. There's just it was so on point. I would show up to set feeling like myself, and then I would just become a completely different person, which
Yeah.
is so fun. It puts you in the whole mindset. So that was amazing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and obviously, talk me through the vibes from, walking the carpet, photos, interviews, then seeing the premiere with your other castmates from the STARZ executives to
Yeah.
the fans, all the way to the after party. Like tell me through the
Yes.
vibes. 'Cause it was a crazy fun night.
It was amazing. The whole theme of this entire season has been elevate,
Yeah.
right? So
Elevate,
everything on the
elevate,
show,
elevate.
elevate, elevate, elevate. And so the entire show for me has felt that watching it. But that day, the black carpet, everybody showing up, the whole vibe felt so elevated. And it was just in line with everything that the show is representing. So I thought that
Yeah.
was amazing. The after party was fire. It was amazing. It was so fun.
Yeah.
Um, it was at an iconic location. It was the whole thing. It was just um, the energy, and like I said before, seeing everyone show up and 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 just represent this show and community was amazing.
No doubt, no doubt. And I obviously that night you can tell that, like, especially during the after party, you can tell that was very celebrative because everyone knew,
Yes.
like y'all had something. You knew it was special. It felt special. And even seeing it earlier than seeing it again with you all there, it just
Hmm.
continued to felt special to ultimately, I think it was last week, getting the reward of seeing the viewership that y'all brought in. Granted, now BMF, I think, is sort of a niche audience in terms of folks
Yeah.
who likes this type of stuff. But like, let it
Mhm.
be known, it put up numbers against The Last of Us, which is a very broader niche audience, and the
It's
fact
amazing.
that y'all, yeah, it's amazing
And
just
I
to get
gotta tell
renewed for
you,
season
watching
two,
the
three.
actual yeah, and watching the screening of that first episode at the premiere, I was like, "Damn." It was so good. Right away, I was like, "I cannot wait for this to come out. I wanna watch it again tomorrow," you know? And 50's introduction of everybody, it was just the energy was so incredible. And I agree. I
Yeah,
mean, I think it's so it's it's amazing that there's been such great viewership. And,
yeah,
outside of me, 100%, just the cast, the crew, the producers, the writers, our showrunner, everybody, it's so deserved. I mean, they kill it.
yep, yep. And Stars realizes that and got the renewal for
Amazing.
season 3.
I know that came
Congratulations.
through. I was like, "Yes."
Yeah, love to
So
hear it.
good.
Love to hear it. And I
So
and I'll be
yes.
honest, I've told a select few folks of this during the after party, which a lot of folks from the outside think like, oh, everyone's just getting drunk and just celebrating, but it's still very much a networking thing.
Yeah.
Folks meeting, their friends or folks that work with within the cast that they haven't seen in a while, or folks meeting
Mhm.
other folks that they did not get to work with that's on the same project. And then you still got media in there as well too, and
Sure.
there's still like a small level of work, doing photo ops and whatnot. You want to create this vibe that this is the place to be and whatnot. But to my point is that even with that, like my ears, my eyes are still very much open because I'm like spotting members of the cast and folks I just want to
Yeah.
congratulate for their work and whatnot. And I
Yes.
go to the bar at one point and I see a bunch of suit people, and I'm like, oh, these are clearly execs. I
Yeah.
know the one guy. I can't think of his name, but I know the one guy, and I saw him sitting down, and I was like, well, if he's there, and that's watching where these folks are walking after us, and they go back to his booth and whatnot. But I did
Mhm.
hear him at the bar saying, "So what did you think about the first episode?" And they was just like, "Man, that was amazing." I'm saying
It
like the opening was
was.
amazing. And I was like, "Oh, this is truly the reward. This wasn't the reward I needed because I'm a fan and work
Right.
impressed, but like if the cats could hear this right now, that these folks are sidebarring at the bar, talk about how phenomenal the first episode is, and I just knew
That's
from that
incredible.
moment it was going to be something. And here comes the receipts
Yeah.
now from the viewership with The
Oh,
Last of Us now. Like that's monumentally big, and then get the renewal for
yes.
season 3. So
It
congratulations.
is. Thank you. Thank
Abs-
you.
Absolutely. Listen, I don't like to get in anybody's personal life, but I have to just make this statement here. Again, I've been acclimated with your work for a while, and I have never ever like looked at your age. It's not my business. But in this scene, in this episode, we're talking about Denise. When they said that Denise had a son at Michigan State, I was just like, okay, well,
What?
that's silly. Lauren's clearly only 26. Who's going to believe that?
Oh, okay. Well, now you're my favorite. That's so sweet. That's so sweet. I'm definitely older than that. But yeah, I mean, I it's so funny because when you get certain scripts and you're reading things and you go, "Oh, interesting." But I have to say so much of the position that she ends up in is a result of wanting to provide for her child. She was maybe
Mm,
a really young mom, you know?
mm.
And so once I kind of put all the pieces together and thought of it in that way, I thought, well, yeah, she may have been a little young when she had him, you know? But so in that way, it might make sense.
No, and that's kind of where I was starting to connect things here, because that was like sort of the question was like, well, how old is Denise being portrayed as? Because I'm like, well,
Mm.
Lord is young. I was just like, is Lord's like got to be like 20 something, like,
Oh,
yeah.
that is so sweet. That is that's sweet.
So, but talk about Denise, and we'll start from the beginning here. The fans want to know the moment you got the call, the moment that you auditioned. Talk us through it, and did you originally audition for Denise, and sort of just how did you really create and make this character your own?
Yeah, I did originally audition for Denise. I was really excited to audition for the show in the first place. The cast, just going into it, I was like, damn, that would be amazing. So I
Yeah,
was excited going in. And you don't ever want to get too excited before an audition because then,
right.
because you gotta wait for it to come through. But it did. And I felt like it was really fun crafting her. She's a former auto mechanic in the 80s, like we talked about, single mom. Um, and I just felt like I really wanted to capture the spirit of um, women who have had to make difficult decisions, who have had to do what they need to do to provide for their families, for their children. I'm a mom. I feel like even trying to put myself in Denise's shoes and think about what would I do, you
Yeah.
know? So I tried to bring my own um not experience necessarily, but emotion to it and imagine what that may have been like for her, you know?
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
was fun. It was fun kind of piecing that together and starting to, and they kept her really raw, the look. It was like the wardrobe, the wig, but everything else was really bare and raw
Mhm.
and organic, which
Yeah.
I loved, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so the moment you got the call back and this was booked, so what were you doing? What was the emotions? What was the
Oh man.
vibes?
I was like, first of all, well, it's really fun to know that not only did you book something, but the arc of her story, which
Mhm.
hasn't which has not we're only part of the way through it.
Yeah.
Um uh that I was really excited about of just getting to go on this sort of like entire journey with her. So I was like, yes, let's do this. I was so excited. And then the entire cast just felt so welcoming being on that set. Everybody was fun. I mean, Da Vinci and I would just, I mean, there was the scene last week with the cars and we were, messing with all the cars. And I've got to tell you, we were cracking up between every take with that sugar going everywhere. we we had so much fun that night. It was amazing. And then Nicole, I have to say, is one of the most she's just heaven on earth. I
Yeah.
feel like the moment I met her, she was just so warm. Whenever I'm around her, I feel like my spirit just feels so
Mhm.
full and she's calming and supportive and funny. I mean, she's just I love her. She's amazing. So
Same.
the whole cast was amazing. I felt like our showrunner was incredible, so welcoming. The writers, um, everybody just made me feel so welcome and part of the family and part of the story. So the entire experience was just really special.
Yeah. Welcome to the BMF family. And I say
Yay!
that because like folks, if like an understanding by Lauren's testimony, like you hear this echo through everybody who's been a part of the cast for the first two
Mm,
seasons now. And I now experiencing that especially at the after party and even the red carpet too. Which is why like at the red carpet, there were like for at least for myself, I didn't do a lot of interviews because I couldn't help but to break I didn't want to disturb or break those moments of seeing the happiness from one cast member to the
mm.
next and like understanding and even yourself if you look at our interview you see that you eventually come over because you were taken away from a second because you ran to
Well, I
another
saw
cast member.
Miko. I saw Miko, so we had to have a little
Hmm.
love fest.
Yeah, so I just love that, and I think that's a reflection of why the show is so good because there's
Mm,
really just a lot of love from one cast member to the next to the production crew to everyone involved, the writers that really just makes this series flow in a way that you don't
yeah,
see too often. So I love that for you all.
thank you.
It's makes me distracted to even talk about the show. I'm just flourishing within all this love right now.
It is, that's the vibe. And, I give so much of that credit to Randy, our showrunner, because he
Yeah,
just leads with love, and, I came into a show in the 2nd season, and he didn't you know, they talk a lot about he makes everybody feel like they're somebody, and he
yeah,
did. He would come say, "Hello, check on me, how's it going? How are you feeling with this or that?" So, it I think a lot of these things start at the top and trickle down, and it definitely trickled
yeah.
because I think everyone feels it, you know?
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So when we first get introduced to Denise, I gotta say, like, there's and even my co-host Lucas sometimes jokes that Charles Flenory is really the villain of this entire series. So when you're introduced as the new driver in the Flenory family business, auto business or car business,
Mhm.
that it comes off like, okay, well, we know that Charles is frustrated at home and
Yeah.
I know for myself like I'm thinking like, oh, Charles is playing with fire, like, oh, all this tension is going at home with his wife, and you're like,
Yeah.
hey, I hired a new woman to be a part of my business. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is going to get something. But I think that when we're introduced to Denise, I think we easily see that Denise does not become a conflict here in terms of that. Denise is here
Yeah.
because she has her own motives. Obviously, this is an opportunity. This is a bettering opportunity here. And I think that Charles talked a big game to saying like this is going to truly be something super lucrative. And it has proved to been somewhat successful. The fact that Terry has as much money as it could have been made on the streets decides that like, hey, I can go, you know, the straight life here and do just as good. So like, you know, there's a good level of confidence that Denise coming just makes sense. And obviously having the automotive background and experience just makes it just a perfect fitting. So from that to working in the business, doing the driving now, so now really being immersed within the business, and from that point on to this episode, a couple of questions I have first is we sort of get this this moment in this episode, which I was surprised by when we inserted stock footage and we get Terry voicing over sort of the social climax of not only just Detroit at the time, but between him and his brothers. They didn't work with white people. But when we see the portrayal of Terry and Denise in the series, it looks very much like that isn't an issue at all. I have to ask, does this ever become an issue, or is it just something that's just kind of layered in the back? Because I even could go as far as saying that the moment he found out Denise was in jail, he jumped up like, hey, do this and this. There felt a sense of compassion and worry there, not just for self, but for everyone involved. So I feel like there's two different things kind of going on. So I had to ask, like, does this ever become a theme at all?
Well, I think that they have a mutual understanding, Denise and Terry. But I think they understand that they each have good, I believe, good intentions. And the fact that Denise came out so quickly in episode 203 and said, we need to fight back. I think there was a level of trust that was established when Terry was expecting Denise to go in on him too, after his dad had just gone in on him. And she didn't. She was like, I get that and I respect him. And also, you know, in the first episode in 202 where I was introduced, you even hear Charles say it, that Denise can go places that we can't go. And so I think that there's an understanding there. I think there's a benefit for both sides. I think the Flenorys will have a benefit. And like you said, Denise has her own motivations. So I think that there was a mutual understanding and respect between the two.
Yeah. Okay. I definitely can see that, and an amazing callbacks to the previous episodes, because those are absolutely important tidbits to really profiling this character. I should mention too, I do love like the sabotaging and the fight back aspect that Denise.
That was
I was
so
like,
fun.
I was like, okay,
And
Denise,
we're
let's
like,
go.
wait, Denise is like down to go. Like,
yes,
I know.
love
I
it.
was excited about that too. I was like, let's play.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's also kind of odd that Denise is also sort of a bystander in this bet between Detective Brian and Detective Jen on the moral compass of Terry here.
Right.
Ultimately to who gets the keys to the car, who gets to be the driver here.
Right.
The two of them are just hilarious, I swear.
Their dynamic is so fun to watch.
So good. Folks are already saying like spin-off material right there.
Amazing. True. Yes, I can see it.
So when as we see in this episode with Denise, she's tasked with a job that she just needs to go to Lansing. Was Lansing Detroit or Michigan? Not even familiar with the city. But either way, Lansing, and this is in trajectory of her going potentially to Michigan State, because Michigan State is where her son is at. So you know, he's a college kid here. And upon this, Denise is pulled over because, well, before that too. I mean, you have Detective Brian, who just happens to be a hangnail essentially for everybody watching this series, because if it ain't one episode he's obsessed with Meech, the next episode he's obsessed with B Mickey, this episode he's obsessed with Terry. He's just like, he's just continues to be obsessed. So
yes,
put surveillance on the whole car business here, which puts
Mhm.
Denise in the cross hairs as well too, to ultimately being followed and pulled over. First thing I have to say here, episodes out, so folks can make their own opinion, but I'll let you either put this one to bed or have us speculate even more.
Well,
Did
what I
Denise
will say, go
go
ahead.
ahead?
No, no, no.
Me, okay, I just
Yeah,
want to know,
yeah.
does Denise know what she's carrying in that car?
Oh, well, there was some conversation that would, you know, I'll let people speculate based on the conversation
Mm-hmm.
between
Mm-hmm.
Denise and Terry. Um, if she actually fully knew. We can definitely hear that she's in a full panic when she calls the house.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll see.
Yeah.
That we'll
Okay.
see,
Okay.
you know.
And what point were you about to make? You about to say something?
Well, I was just gonna talk about, you know, we talked about this a little bit on the carpet when we had our conversation. I just think it's interesting to look at the position that Denise was even in. So, you know, we'll have to watch and see how she handles this bad situation that she's in.
Yeah.
But I feel like so much that I felt watching this season is how humanizing a lot of the situations that people are in. You know, we talked about. I think the effects of poverty on decision making
Yeah.
are so profound
Yep.
and relatable, right?
Yep.
So in her situation, capturing the spirit and heart and protection of a mother, right? So she may be in a situation where she's doing things for that, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and also so much of the show is about loyalty. So is she going to stay loyal to the Flenorys? Is she going to do what she needs to do to protect herself? You know, but I think that so much of that is so humanizing when you see people. So easy to look at positions that somebody's in, or you just hear the results. So and so is arrested for something or this and that, and you can just come to a quick generalization or a quick reaction. But you pull back a little bit and you look at the circumstances that,
Yeah.
you know, I feel like it's so humanizing when everybody's doing their best. We're all trying to survive, you know, and so it's just interesting to watch her navigate that.
Yeah. Listen, without a doubt, do I ever look at Denise as saying, "Oh, she's just another accessory to everything that she's doing. She's not criminal or anything." And I think that, like, and a testament to your performance here, we hear the emotion through the phone call. We see the nervousness within the interrogation room. We see sort of the raw emotion coming through, even just being pulled over. And I think that, like, that's a very relatable thing as well too, in
Yes.
terms of like being pulled over for unjustified reasons and improper searching and all this sorts of
Yeah.
different things. And I very much in my notes have a big in red letters says plausible deniability here, which I am going to go ahead and speculate for the audience
Mm.
here, and I'll just let you just give any type of whatever facial emotions you want. But I honestly think that, like, and my co-host Lucas, he said it. He says, "Listen, B Mickey was there for a reason. I don't see how B Mickey comes there, looks at the stuff, and then Denise leaves with it. Something ain't right here." And I'm like, you know what? You're absolutely on to something here. And I think that the Flenory family business is a few steps ahead of Detective Brian. And I also think that, like, while Detective
Mm.
Brian is trying to go about it his way, and Detective Jen comes in with a new styling of things and has a different set of eyes, that it would be too rewarding to make Detective Bryant right so early. So I think that we're going to see her have a moment of hot seat. I told you, like, why can't he just be a good person? You know, why is this always like, you know, everyone's always up to something? And this is from this person to this person, then now to Denise, and then like understanding, like, you know, she's just a single mom trying to see her son. Maybe she got caught up in something that she didn't know about, or maybe this isn't what it is, or I don't
Mm.
know. Did Detective Brian just somehow, some way knew exactly where this was at? Is B Mickey out here playing both sides of the court? There's a lot to kind of
There's a
consider.
lot to think about.
So that's what's so
There is.
exciting about it. Um, for yourself though, getting a change of attire, so you now you're more in casual wear.
Yeah.
which I'm sure you're
Yeah.
like, yes. Talk me through the interrogation scene. What are you being cued to do, or did they just kind of let you go in there and show the nervous man? And then obviously, the big question is, everybody going to know, is she going to sing like a bird because she's looking nervous? But I just ain't buying it. I ain't buying it. I'm not buying it.
It's gonna be fun to watch it play out. Um, I think they did let me go with the authentic fear of the moment of being arrested, the panic and the pleading and the, "Oh shit, what am I gonna do?"
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna have to see how that plays out.
Okay. Another question, because your phone call almost got T's head knocked off. Why did she ask for Terry and not Charles?
Well, my feeling is because she had the conversation with Terry before
Okay.
driving. When she's saying, "What am I doing?" And
Mm-hmm.
she's telling him, like, "I need a reason. I need the whole thing." So I feel like because they had had the that moment together before
Yeah.
she drove off,
Mm-hmm.
when she drives off, you see him close the or, walk out behind her. And so I think they had sort of been talking about that. Um, that would be my feeling on that. But you're welcome to speculate if there's another layer to
Absolutely. That's what we do. That's what we do. And honestly, what's been some of your, shall I say, what's been, and I do appreciate the sort of the transparency and the correlation of you being a mother, and being
Mm,
able to craft the emotions you have for your child into
mhm.
implanting these emotions into Denise. But ultimately, what's been some of the fun moments and experiences with this character? And might I add, what other crazy bit of roller coaster, if you can describe, not in sort of details and what happens, but describe in terms of emotions, where are we going with Denise going forward? I just hope the word heartbreak doesn't come down in any of this, but just wondering where we go with her after this.
Well, I mean, as far as the fun moments with her, I just feel like we talked about earlier, like the evolution of becoming this character was so much fun. And she's somebody on the surface that's very different than myself.
Mhm.
She's got like a toughness, and she's like, I mean, I probably couldn't change a tire. So so we're very different. So it was really fun to kind of snap into that energy of somebody. Um, but on a deeper level, like you were saying, I really did want to capture the spirit and heart of a woman, of a mom. I feel like the women of BMF are so badass,
Mhm.
so to be welcomed into that, even that conversation is incredible. I don't know. We're gonna have to. I don't want to say too much about where Denise is going, but we will find out. And the piece of me that cares about her just wants her to be well. The piece of me that cares about the family, the Flenorys, I want them to be well. It's like I watch as a fan, I watch as a spectator, and I'm
Yeah.
like, each week as the script would come out, I'm like, what is she gonna do?
I love
So
it.
I'm excited. I'm excited to watch with everybody.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Certainly big questions to come next week for episode 5, where we determine the fate of Denise, which, as I keep saying, folks, I think that like this episode left us to think that like she can't defend for herself. She's going to go in there and she's going to sing. She's going to prove Detective Bryant right. And I I think as the fan, I think even Lauren as the fan, I think we can start to change this narrative a little bit and think that Denise is loyal. She's hipped, and I think there's been enough context from characters implying that like, oh no, she's you may think she's a damsel in distress. I think we're going to see different, and I also think, yeah, there's gonna be motivation to her wanting to get to her son and whatnot, but I also think she just knows how to hold herself down. And I also think, and I believe it was Detective Bryant. So when Steve Harris was talking about Detective Jen, talking about what does it mean to be a woman, in the city
Mm.
at the time, a woman in law enforcement, a woman in a male dominated business here, from one to the next, to come from automotive business to doing cars here, like understanding that like she knows how to navigate. I think that like you
Yeah.
start putting these things together, I'm like, oh no, no, no,
Well,
folks,
she's had
come
to
on
fend
now.
for herself for a long time, you know? So, yeah, we'll see.
Well, Lauren, it's been an absolute pleasure. I had fun time meeting you then, and I knew I was really looking
Same,
forward to this, and I know it's going to be a fun
same.
time talking. Hopefully,
I had so
that
much fun. Thank you.
absolutely, and fans, totally in the comments, show Lauren some love. Let us know
Aw.
your predictions about Denise. What do y'all think, folks? Come on, let us know. I know y'all have some wild predictions down there
I
as
know,
we
I wanna hear 'em.
I mean, as it seems like we have a long road of Denise to come, so we're going to have to see how this one plays out. But as I say, to everybody, the seat's always open, so certainly let's have you back again soon. Maybe we talk on the flip side, as we could talk about the entire arc of Denise this season, and that way we don't have to monitor or censor or mute anything. We can just
That's
let it
right.
all out.
We'll get in there.
Well, folks, thank y'all so
Yeah.
much for tuning in for this interview. And y'all know what the deal is. We're back each and every week with more BMF content. Thank you so much for tuning in.